I welcome Vidya Niranjan ma'am for this podcast, head of the department, RV College of Engineering, Biotechnology. It gives me an immense pleasure for this podcast because as a teacher, she has influenced me virtually through her YouTube videos, and I had also attended one of her workshop which she had done. But yet, as a podcast guest, probably I am more happy today to conduct a podcast because it gives me immense pleasure to take our insights in solving the problem in biotechnology and also computational biology also. That's a field of research. And there are a lot of things where biotechnology people has a lot of influence in biomedical and other fields which are related to medical domain today. So I welcome Vidya Niranjan ma'am for this podcast.
Thank you, Vishwas. I'm privileged because this will definitely go viral with many of the students, and I hope it takes interest with others also, because we need good students and good researchers in the field of computational biology. Thank you for the initiative, and I'm more than happy to give this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Let's just start with a question, ma'am. I read your paper on the development of human protein reference database as an initial platform for approaching system biology in humans. Authored by a lot of people. You are like, you're also one of those authors who have contributed for that research. I had this question as soon as I read that paper. Working with protein, there are a lot of things which comes up in the database of it. As a computational biologist, as a research field, you have taken computational biology as your research. After reading that paper, I told to myself, I should definitely ask this one question. Are living entities demystified today? Their genetic information as a whole new level. And also, what's, human genome all about today?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to answer this question because I want this to go to the public. See, the biology is such a great field, and you have a lot of pedestal, like right from human genome till agri, whatever it is. Everything is life. Any life is a life science. But the problem is the biologists were so conserved, and actually probably 2 decades or 3 decades before, nobody thought of integrating with an engineering perspective, let us say information technology perspective, where I could say that the biology has not grown at all. Now, I was very happy because probably a decade or 2 decades before, we started this bioinformatics where computational biology became more popular. And I'm more happy that I was in the initial days where there was not much of scope like now, but still we tried our best. And I have to thank my PhD supervisor, Dr. Akhilesh Pandey, who was from Johns Hopkins University, who set up a lab in India. And I was privileged to lead the data, putting all the details, because there will be thousands and thousands of research paper which will be not read by everyone. It's a curation which was an attempt that was a major hit in India, where we have put all the things into under one umbrella. That's where the database came into existence. That's where the biology get into the field of computation, and it has accelerated much and much. And I was also a lot of on my profile, the last 2 decades I also developed so much computation or any other disciplinary from engineering. And I want all the engineering people to be a part of this biology or a computational biology to make it more successful. I think this demystifying the genetic information is basically the culture that the scientists had before, but now it's more open and there is nothing to hide about and people know what's all about.
Yeah, when you talked about these kind of research and all your approaches and work which you have done, when you were involved in the initial stages of the research, yes, it was a lot of work that we had done. But what is the role of genetics and bioinformatics in the medical study these days? That's what I wanted to ask you all about.
Yeah, I am more than happy to ask this question because I want all the things to reach to the public. I think there is a major gap between the application and the research. See, whatever the research is being done is all in silos. The biotechnology makes them great about finding a gene or genetics, but how it does go to the public, they need lot of medical professionals also to be a part of this research. And that is why I think a lot of medical people are now into research. Like you have seen our workshop with Narayana Health. We are now a part of Dr. Alban, who is a clinical data research head, who is now collaborating with us. And we have written couple of UK. We are doing some couple of projects with UK, also Imperial College London, where now we know that whatever the biology or the bioinformatics or the biotechnology we do is just a 10%. But now I could see when we collaborate with doctors, it's an equal thing that how do we collaborate with engineers? It's much more that we need to collaborate with doctors, understand them what is the engineering all about and the biotechnology all about, and putting how it can go to the public. When we discuss with them, we know that their perspective of research is different and what it should get aligned. I think this is a major thing. And definitely with this, any dissimulation or the medicine we do, we will immediately know when a medical person is there and whether it will be suitable or whether it needs a lot of regulations that has to go before it goes. We will understand and we will tune our research so that it aligns. Then it becomes more successful.
Speaking of this success, you talked about how collaboration with doctor and engineer has to be, because we are not supposed to interchange our roles, or else we are not supposed to give away our responsibilities these days. But I want to ask you this one question: where is the source of this knowledge coming from? When you take a genomics professor, he gives a different approach in order to give us lectures or else talk, or else maybe his approach of solving problems differ when we read the papers. But when we see a proper biotechnology person, a technology researcher who is in the field for past 10 years, probably his research is going to be different. Last week, I had interviewed Vasudev V. Nayak sir, who was an mechanical engineer, yet working in biomaterials, which is like nowhere related to the mechanics which he is studying. But yet he tried to make sure that the principles here were principles there applied. What's your view on the knowledge, the source of knowledge which we are getting for genomics and biotechnology these days?
The major resources, we have a lot of database, and if you see, the world has got maximum fundings for this bioinformatics or computational biology, where huge funds have been developed. So there is something called NIH, National Institute of Health, has given a lot of database, NCBI database, where you have all the genomes till now, whatever you have, all have been reposited. Not only reposited, it has been curated by the scientists to find out authentication of the information, and they give it some numbering based on the authentication. So I think the information is nowhere less. You have all the information under one umbrella under NIH. So we want genomics, plants, animals, whatever, anything that is living in the world, you will get the information. What has been till now has been researched. That gives also scope what is to be done, and you can elaborate your research on it.
Yeah, elaboration of research is something which is we are supposed to think about. SVMs were still being implemented, but yet in a different fashion. Lecturers who literally says you can copy the code. Recently Lex Fridman podcast also, they actually said that copy the code, but yet understand the insights of what data set is all about. But I want to ask you this one question where your field is completely filled with simulations.
Correct.
I want to get this insight from you. Like, what is simulation all about to you?
See, the major problem, another thing the biologist has, because in biology is too complex. So when you have to do an experiment, you cannot do an experiment with maybe 5 or 10. You need thousands and thousands, or even it turns to millions sometimes to do that much of iterations to identify the perfect compound. For example, I have a COVID, I need to find out what is going to be the best medicine. So what people did is they didn't find out, they were repurposing the drug. You know how much millions of compounds we have, like 10 to 15 millions of compounds are there, and you need to screen what is exactly. So you need to know the biology, you need to find out the best of it. And are you going to spend some time of another decade to find out that by the time the world may exist or may not exist? Because that's how the pandemic now, it's now very important for you to understand, do things at the simulation level to find out what was, suppose in simulation you cannot find, I'm not going to tell the simulation is going to get decompound, but it is going to get the best compounds. Let us say you have 1,000 compounds, from 1 million you can filter to the 1,000 compound, and instead of biologists doing a 1 million set of experiments, he can do 1,000 set of experiments and get the best and get going. So this is how you have to optimize things, use simulation. Simulation is not an ultimate solution. It gets you near to the solution, but still we need to find out. That is, you know, the time of human resource, the time of chemicals, the time of everything that is involved in it to reduce it. So simulation is something which reduces it reduces time for you to go near the reality.
When we see PDB, Protein Data Bank, we can't really demystify a lot of things which are involved in a protein data bank itself. It's a lot of technology involved. There's a lot of computational complexities which are involved in reading it also. But yet, there is a new hope called as stem cells, which probably Shinya Yamanaka told through his Nobel Prize research, which gave a lot of transaction agents, and a lot of things came into the picture. Do you really think stem cell gives the hope of solving the non-solvable problem statements in biology today? As a researcher in computational biology.
I think biology itself synonym to not to get the solution. So you will always, you can go near the solution. When you go near the solution, there will be another dimension that will come to you and ask you to research more. So it's not going to stop you. The biology is the one who will not, it's like a human race. Can you stop the human race? No. When the time where you will decipher the biology is where the human is going to stop. The earth is going to stop. So it is going to be giving you a complete challenges for you to live, to understand, to research, to find out the things, to discover things. And also, I don't think there is going to be a stop point for it, but you can sort of going for every lab and finding out some solutions so that you can run for the next lab. So it's like that. You are going to have a milestone, and there is going to be another milestone for you, for the human race to run. You cannot stop running. You can stop when you completely decipher what is the biology. I think that is going to be next to impossible, or that's where you are going to stop. That evergreen and ever growing industry will be the biology industry. See, there is not going to be a solution for biology. It is too complex. You can get a solution for biology only if the earth stops rotating. So what we are finding is a milestone, and then for you to run to the next milestone. And once you reach that milestone, again, a problem will be created by the nature, and you are going to go on. So this also gives you a clue that evergreen industry or ever growing industry, the industry which is going to make the humankind on toes, is a life science.
That was actually a very short way of actually justifying that question. Thank you for that. There is a lot of things which we are listening now. There is a lot of ways in which Stephen Gundry takes supplements to keep himself healthy. That's a huge way of research. And B.M. Hegde is against it because he is not behind the supplements. He is actually against the medication itself. But there are a lot of different views today. One person says through his works, take supplements, be happy, you will be healthy forever. But one person says, don't take supplements, your body is intelligent enough to get all those resources. how is strengthening immune system going to help in the present situation these days? You have been working on a lot of things, including genomics and lot of work in computational biology. I just want your insights on this.
The question for you, the immune system is, I believe in the theory that if you are fit for the world you will be in, the immune system will be always in. But if you are in the world where you are not misfit for the world, you will be removed from the world. That's very simple. So I think I don't go very much with the other side also, this side also. But since the technology is there, it's not that we are not going to see the mobile. Because of the technology, I'm going to give you a podcast. So I don't say that you should not use it or you should completely use it. See, there is optimal, and every human, as a genomic person, everybody is already predetermined as their skill sets. Okay, if my skill set or if my thinking or if my genome says that I should go only with the natural way, you follow your instinct because you will survive much better in the world than. I think that is all this instinct or whatever it is, all the genome information that is within you, which makes you much better. So go with instinct in that way. Some people think that, no, I can take supplements and I can be happy. Yeah, you be happy. So if there is a problem with the supplements, at time your instinct says, man, stop this. This is not good for your thing. So it will automatically come from the genome or from his character. So all these characters, all this thinking, all these are all from genome. But actually the genome and the protein is completely controlling you. You are not controlling it. You are being acting as per se. That's it. So it will, I don't say per se, but it has to be personalized. Every person, if I am comfortable with taking some medicine, and I'm happy for a week, I'm okay, it's fine. The technology is there, human brain is there for you, you can use it. Or if I say, I don't want these things, these are all troubling my body, I have much more resistance and I'm more naturally fit to take care of myself, take care. Ultimately, and if at all, even if you do both and you are not fit, means the world says that you are not fit first, please go away from the world. Because survival of fittest is the core of biology law. So if you are definitely survival fit, all the immune will get back to you to make you live in the world. If you are not there, though the technology can help you to survive, but still if you are beyond it, these are all medical miracles. That's what the world should think, that you are fit. It will give you immune system. So I think all these artificial way of taking is just your instinct says you can survive. You need a slight help from technology or slight help from medicine for you to survive. Then the body accepts it and then takes. It takes help. All these things are help for the body to survive in the world. If the body says, no, I can't survive, whatever help you give, nothing miracle is going to happen. So it's all genomics.
You talked with a lot of passion about the protein, gene, and lot. I want to ask you this question because I thought, okay, she has answered it in a previous one in a similar fashion. But yeah, I want to ask you this one question. Proteinomics. There is a lot of hubbub which is being created when it got introduced in the field of computation. Whether it's GPUs which are doing the matrix multiplication in the gaming, whether it's the GPU which is making matrix computation in the proteinomics, still remains the same. Computer doesn't know anything, but yet I feel man is having some sort of a moronic thought, which he says that, okay, computation is going to give some sort of a solution. But I want your view on proteinomics. Will proteinomics help us in gaining this insight on diseases that we are facing today? Like there are AIDS, which is a form of a protein, a virus which is in a form of a protein itself. But yet, will it really help us in getting this insights on these diseases? And also, what do you feel about its application in the present situation today?
Yeah, proteomics is the ultimate thing, but the root level is genomics. That is what we call it as proteogenomics approach. That's one of my PhD student who is working on. where we will try to see the genome and see protein and see how it is mapped. Only few proteins are getting expressed. Why not all are expressed? Why some are expressed at different levels? What is the functionality on it? This is sort of always a myth because we are going on exploring, but still we have not a handhold of why certain things are happening and why not certain things are happening, because I feel it is in a phase space. It's a multi-dimensional problem. We are trying to see asbestos of the important dimensions to solve it immediately, but there is a beyond discovery. That's what I can say. There's a lot of researchers. That's what I say. The biology is which is needed to be the most strong department is always now because of it's a long-term investment. So people try to go for a quick money, and if those very bright or the cream of people who have been appointed in the world to discover things are all going for something which is not very important, like in a gaming or in a, I used to, one of my mentor was he was actually is in a very great position in DSIR. I don't want to name him, but he will call the IITians and tell, do you want to go and sell soap? This is what we are all about. Why don't you come and do some research in biology? We picked up 4 IITians those days, and they were working under me. The amount of prediction they did, the first prediction of the gene has been done by one of the IIT, and we could not sustain because we could not give the huge money, because the soap can sell for millions of people and give them millions of money. But to sell this, we had to struggle hard to give them at least 10,000, and they just left away. I want to tell that particular a bright chap, Ramakant, who is from IIT Delhi, who worked under me and found out the prediction of the gene. This is the first gene prediction tool we did it in India. But he could not stay with us because, see, there is a problem with these things. The young guys who are very bright, who have been assigned by the nature to explore things and to give more to the public, should get into the research of very life sciences. And there are people for other entertainment should not be the major thing. You should say life is, I think the corona gave a proper lesson that life is very important, and all the accessories or something which is you need an entertainment. But what happened, the entertainment became a main step. The electronics has become the major thing, and people are going because the money is there, because it reaches public much more. But here it is not. It's only with the diseased people who are not fit and need some help to stay in the world, needs only this particular thing. So that is where the problem we have, and I think that's not going to end at all. And at least people who see this podcast, some of the guys who are very cream, should tell that we need to give back to the society. We are this cream of people who can find out something to the mankind, should come and do research in this level, where they can integration between engineer, biotechnologists, and those set of people can do much better and give better to the society. So it's not always the money. It is also something where you need to have life, and hope the life science gets more fundings and the market bigs up, and so that we can attract the cream, not only by the research but also money. Hope that dream comes true.
Oh my God. Sorry for asking you this one question, because
this is what I want to reach the students. I want to reach the students like this.
I actually saw that the amount of passion you have for the research. Every time I used to see all your YouTube videos, and I used to say, okay, she's well versed in her research, so that's why she's just giving. Of course, having such an experience will obviously give you that insight of, okay, I need to give something back to the society. I'm not saying sorry for asking you this question. I feel very proud for asking you this one question. Yes, ma'am. You actually gave a lot of insights on proteomics, and how that research from IIT Delhi guy actually gave a lot of insights in how research in India can be. But like, you've been working in genomics for quite a while now, because I know that even when after you completed your postdoc, the first job you had was on genomics, a kind of a job which was on genomics. I just want you to give this insights on what is genome all about. Is it just storing the genetic information which you are, or is it something different, or is the potential of a genome being completely demystified, extracted by a human being? What do you feel about it?
See, the genome, like it's a nature, okay? I will tell that's so much powerful. It wants the uh, earth to go on and on because there are so much changes in environment, so much changes, dynamics that is changing. The genome is the most intelligent in the world to keep the earth going on. So what does it does is the genome tries to change itself, mutate itself, try to alter itself so that the next generation is there in the world to carry out. So the genome is nothing but which stores the information from the previous and try to adapt itself for the new thing and gives it to the next offspring to make it go on. So this is what is genome all about. So it is such a huge thing, and you know how much intelligence it should have, and so it has got a millions, depending upon the species, it has got different base pairs, it has got different functionalities. It actually, it is a major factory in the earth which is making the life go on, which makes the earth move on. So it is quite intelligent and it is trying to do everything, but deciphering that is also a major challenge. Why 10 years before the genome was like this, why there was certain diseases there, and now how it has adapted itself to overcome. See, the main goal of the genome is to make sure the earth goes on by giving the perfect offsprings to adapt and make their life go on. So this is the thing that is carried out by genome. We are trying to explore that, how that then we try to relate it with the environment. So environment has got certain things. Because if the same genome has been passed on to the next offspring, it's very clear the nature will, this offspring may or may not exist, because it has to survive. For that it needs a lot of strength. The genome gives the strength for the humankind to adapt, to make sure that they live their life and they go on for the next generation. So this is a very simple thing for any of them who are viewing this, but the deciphering is what, like, scientists like us and the medical and the engineering people have to come and see how it is doing it and how this can be used for well-being of the human. So this is what I can give in genome definition for people who know or who don't know about the genome.
I know this actually answers a lot of ways in which genomics research has to go on in India. You know, you have a lot of passion. You have seen a lot of ups and downs in the research where when you are doing, and also in your experience, you have seen people how they fall down in terms of the motivation. There are a lot of ways. I just want to ask you this: how difficult is it to engineer a problem statement or else get the solution in your field these days?
No, I think the field will not exist unless and until we have a multidisciplinary team having a holistic approach for the problem. It's not going to happen. It's going to be stale, or it is going to be slow like before, unless before this bioinformatics or this bio-inspired engineering came into picture, which is completely multidisciplinary. This is going to be, I think it's not going to move, and people are going to have a lot of life calamities. I think there is a need for all the people come together, like how, and I don't know, when you see mobile, you see how much mechanical engineering has to play, telecommunication engineering, electronics engineering, computer engineering, all together made this mobile to make this so successful in the world. And why not for the lives like this, a biotechnologists with this different discipline come together to make it like mobile. Unlike other fields where mobile can reach all the people in the world, but this biotechnology and the disease only goes to people who are not fit. So the market size itself is less, but you need to have more uh, work for it. So I think there somewhere the world itself or the nature itself should give balance for this so that it will happen better. Or it's a balance from the nature also to make sure that not to decipher so much to compete with it. I'm not sure about it. I think about the last question was, without an interdisciplinary research, I think there will not be any improvement in the research of genomes or for the mankind. So, like mobile, like you need how many engineers, how mechanical, telecommunication, electronics, computer science, all together came together and did a mobile, which is the highest hit in the world. Okay, the highest revenue and highest utility to the mankind. The same way for biotechnology, a lot of interdisciplinary work has to come and to make this like, we need some medicine which is like a mobile which can cure all the people. That's what is all the dream about. So that I am telling that there must be a huge multidisciplinary approach should be there and a holistic way to make this happen. And the market size is only the diseased people market size is there, unlike a mobile market which is completely taken care by the whole thing. So I think this corona or something which is also given that there is a huge market for life science. Hope there is an improvement and a fund and interest in this field to make that happen. I need a mobile which is like biotechnology. There must be something which will help everyone to their ailments, or maybe not only physically, mentally, everywhere. People should finally be happy, and there must be dissemination of the information immediately. So that's what I was thinking all about.
Computers have been there in biology for quite a while now. There are false predictions which have been proved, but yet humans still is behind the computers. Why do they rely on computer even today? And what's your view on those false fallacies which have been coming out in the form of papers, in the form of journals which have been thrown out into the world? And what's your key note to those researchers who are actually saying that this can really make a sort of an sci-fi kind of a thing? What's your view on that?
Yeah, I actually, there is two answers for this. One is the computation thing. It should be a tool and technology for your research. You should not completely depend. I think in the previous question, I have told that. So computation is a tool and technique for you to fasten your research and to meaningful. It has to take the direction what you want. It cannot take you in another direction, and then you have to, it should not lead you. The computation should be your slave and you have to be a master. The moment you make computer master and you being slave, these types of things are happening. So you need to control the computational methods. You have to have the checks and balances, whether it is going in the direction what you want, whether you are assisting those things in what is the research you are going on. I think that is the major thing everybody should do to avoid those things. I don't really give a false thing on those people who give a false research or those things. The major thing is they made computer master and they became slave, where the computer took them into the false route. So you have to be always master when using the computational techniques. So I think that is my answer on that.
Yeah, you told about not to make computers master because we built it, not computer built, nor the way
Yeah,
vice versa.
correct.
Computer didn't build
Correct.
us. We tried to go demystify things. It's years and years of hard work, lot and lot of labor, billions and billions of dollars fetched inside it. You told a lot of proteins and a human, how human immune system can be and how protein is all about. We are built with genomes and proteins, and everything is protein, what we have today. In this present situation, will humans survive or a protein? Who will win in this race of survival?
See, proteins is helping human to survive. So the human is ultimate. He's a master. Protein is helping the nature. So the genome and the protein, I've already told, it is helping human to survive. I think there is no competition between them. I think human need the appropriate genome and proteins to be expressed at the right time for him to survive.
Like,
The human is dependent on these things to survive. There is no comparison for that, human or protein. Human is living because of the protein expression.
yeah, protein expression is fine, but yet, proteins are taking their own isoforms today. When you think of tau protein, A beta complex, which is the major cause for the Alzheimer's. There are ways in which scientists are told these are a sort of ways in which proteins are trying to understand the point mutations which are happening there. It's not about whether the survival instincts is saying, okay, you are going to survive for 10 days or 20 days. If the protein doesn't want me to survive for even 10 seconds, I can have something as a poison which can be generated. What about these processes which are happening, point mutation, lot of things which are coming up? I want your view on that. Food is not good. There are a
Yeah,
lot
these
of
are
things.
all these are all because the particular genome is not fit for survival. You all know that by mistake, if some few or many things which has been inherited from their ancestors and which is not fit, but it is going on trying on to pull out for next generation and next generation. At one time, we'll decide, okay, this cannot be pulled to next generation. Let us close this. So this malfunctioning happens because it is not also the information is passed from the previous generation. Maybe at that generation it could have somehow withstand to survive the human, but the offsprings, if the same thing has been given and the genome cannot see, it has everything has got its limitation. If the limitation goes beyond to make it survive, those malfunctioning in the genome happens, and which causes isoforms, which makes the life not exist in the world.
Yeah, that actually justified that answer. But there are a lot of ways in which software architecture is not up to the mark of requirement of bioinformatics today. Whether it's new software tool which is coming up, there are versions after versions. There is a lot of improvements which is given out, but yet there is not that robustness in those software architecture which I feel. What do you feel about those software architecture which is present in the bioinformatics today?
Yeah, actually, still the field is not matured, and it is exactly like there is a lot of scope in architecture, because once the computer architecture is something which is not to be completely reliable, and I always, there is a scope. Your question is completely right, but we have not matured to the level to say that, oh, this is a problem, I can give a solution with a computer. There is always an hybrid model still working, though we put a lot of AI with the pattern recognitions, with time series, everything, but still I have to say the bioinformatics is immature, and we need to really work on that. And definitely I have to admit this architecture is not sufficient for the solution we are looking out for. And that's a major gap we have in the field.
Yeah, there is a lot of gap which has to be filled in terms of computation, in terms of complexities which are getting solved these days. Not all complex solutions have been, problem statements have a robust solution, nor they have a proper computer architecture which is defined for it. But yet, I always had this one question: what is the ideal computer which is required for biologists these days? Our typical one human architecture is trying to become more human, but it's not. A human brain project, blue brain project, a lot of people are trying to build their own architecture these days. What's that ideal computer you're looking for bioinformatics system? Any system which deals with the biology. What's your view on that?
Yeah, you have to know that human brain is much more powerful because it has gone time tested. It has gone through so much of time, And now the computer is, though it is fast, but it has just started now. See, to come to this level, you can see the previous phylogeny, the previous ape to man, how many years it took to become this level. But it is slow and it is sort of tested. It also environment test a long time to having a long time tested power. Okay, it has gone through all the positives training, the negative training, and it has been trained very nicely to understand a problem, to analyze. For even for a small segment, if you want to code it using artificial intelligence, the amount of intensity of computation you need and the amount of intensity of the power you need for that is quite high. You think that we just need a second to do that. Why do this computation, such a high computational power with so much line of coding has to do the same work? For example, even if you put your hand to this, it's just an easy for you, a 1 second hand. Do you want to simulate it? You need so much of power to do that. I don't say that computer can come to this level. It is not, I will not say impossible. It has to define this is what I need. If my problem is small, I need a small computing power. If my problem is very high with a very high number of parameters and very number of training sets, a positive and negative sets, I need a higher power. I cannot define this is a computer I need. I can only define my problem, and the person has to have such experts to take which the power he needs to.
I think there are a lot of ways in which computational research has come into the picture. But do you really feel that all bioinformatics research are just giving the same and a similar approach in solving the problem statement?
No, some people really think wisely and have a better solution, but general hopes the general mindset with the classical biologists have is they just run a tool and give you. But this, even running a tool and techniques, as I told, you need to have mastery in understanding the research. See, it depends on the skill set of individual person. You cannot generalize this or that. There are very high-end bioinformaticians who have done excellent work, and there are bioinformaticians who just run and do the namesake of it. This is nothing a generalized question. It depends on individual people, and the world is very, I say, intelligent to the nature, or I say the system is intelligent to demark these people. There are people who can only do that, but world needs all set of people. It doesn't need only the cream people or only intelligent people. It cannot run that way. You need all set of people. You cannot standardize that bioinformatics is really helping, or have to know how your technique to what you say, to your journey towards the research.
Yeah, I know. Journey towards the research is something as bioinformatics people we are supposed to give a long time. It's a long-term investment all about. I always wanted to ask you this one question. How intelligent is a protein these days? You said about 15 million compounds. How can you simulate that? But yet there are wise compounds and there are a lot of intelligence which is being understood by a human about the protein. What do you feel about those?
See, resistance, whether you like it or not like it, that's a system, that's a nature, okay? There will be a lot of resistance which only make you much more powerful. That's a metaphysics. The same way, the proteins have, if there is a more resistance, they have to be intelligent enough to survive it, because it's one ultimate goal is to make the human survive in the world, okay? So it depends upon how, so the resistance, the way the proteins or the genomes are trained themselves to be more intelligent, to make themselves survive, to make those things. This is just a war. Always the war is life. Okay. Once resistance becomes, proteins give up, the resistance are quite nature to make the genome and protein more strong or sturdy. Once the opponent becomes powerful, you have no other way to give up, or you have to train, or maybe the small resistance, or to train yourself more strong to help the nature, to give them more fight towards the nature.
Yes, ma'am. There is a lot of hubbub created by Elon Musk on Neuralink, and also DeepMind has gave out its AlphaFold 2, which is an breakthrough in terms of protein folding problem, which was like 50-year-old research problem. That data set was being collected from 50 years. CASP was in the news. A lot of things happened. What's your view on such kind of research portfolios coming out these days?
Yeah, I really encourage those things to come because this is making the subject more mature with much more professional way. Not still vouched. It's going to give you some sort of maturity in the field of research. I don't say that they have completely deciphered, but they're a step forward to make this much more mature project.
Like how affordable is genomic studies on today? I just want you to answer on that.
It's quite expensive. Not all can do it. Even I have a collaborator to do it. Though I have some funds, I can't do it on myself. So I think we need to have proper, in the sense, it's not affordable. It's quite expensive. It's not that, and outcome for the money is not all the venture capitalists like it. Okay. So the funds only has to give from the government to make this happen. So there is a lot of problem in getting funds for doing this genetic and genomic studies. So this is a major hiccup we have in this field.
Ma'am, there are a lot of ways in which people are still worried about how to get certifications in these kind of institutions. Like when we have to work in these kind of research environment, there is a lot and lot of certifications which are required. And also there are a lot of ways in which you are supposed to be trained also. Like, how to get these kind of certifications, and also what are the way to be a genetic or a bioinformatic researcher in your experience? If you know some, you can just point out to some.
I think I am a person who don't believe on formal training for the namesake, certificates, marks. I don't really believe it. A person who wants to do it, even if he doesn't have a certificate, if he doesn't have the marks, if he has the passion and if he has that ability, I will do it. He is the one who is required. Nevertheless, this training certifications are needed to have a basic information. It's not going to make you a skilled person on these things. Your passion, when you go there and you get trained with the right person, that is where I think it is better. But the government people nevertheless wants to make sure that at least let them know the information, and later if they like it, let them continue their career in it. So there are some lot of government recognized centers giving you some sort of, I think Skill Vignan, if you go to Skill Vignan Center, all the trained people who are being, government has already recognized them as a trainer. So if you go with them and get trained, you will definitely sort of basic information you will get, but it is you need to develop passion, interest, and then start doing it.
Yes, ma'am. Daniel Amen is the person who has the largest number of SPECT scan data set today. He has given a lot of approaches in how biomedical imaging has influenced psychology these days. But I just want to ask you this one question. Who has the biggest and the most humongous data set in terms of genetics concerned?
I don't think, except NIH, I don't think anybody has as a part of it, or they are giving a value addition. But the central repository which NIH has got the maximum information, which is run by US government.
Yes, that's the way in which US is actually moving towards a lot of research in bioinformatics, genomics. Even though there are a lot of computers involved, yes, they are more into getting that right accurate results out. Let it be DeepMind, which is working on that fold, AlphaFold 2, AlphaFold 1 was also a benchmark in that research. But like, what's the mindset in order to do this kind of a research, and how difficult is it to engineer such problem statements in order to give an approach also?
See, the difficulties comes when people are dependent for each and every step on others. Okay, there will be slight information if people take it on their own, think on their own. Whenever there is a dead end, if they need take a help and then do it, then they will be successful. If people think at every stage they need an help to do it, something you have to explore, you have to die hard to get those answers. If that attitude is not there, then it is very difficult to get into these type of research. You have to know the problem, you need to know few sort of guidelines, and then you have to start and you have to think your own to get the solutions. And there is a dead end, definitely you have to get into mentors, but you have to try hard and then get defeated. You should not get defeat every steps now and then, that I'm not doing it, let me go. So once you ask somebody some help on your research, that means you are defeated. So if the defeat is too less, and if your winning is more in this type of problems, then you are there. Otherwise, you are not there.
Yeah, I know. It's all about how you have put every ounce of your sweat, blood, and tears. People forget to do that. People don't know how to be that sort of a person who really respects that field, who really understands that charisma of being a bioinformatics researcher. People want to, yeah, as you said, people told do you want to sell soap? The kind of mentality in which people go with in terms of solving problems. Well, I always thought of this generic medicine. It was a new trend when a lot of IPS officers, IAS officers came into the picture saying, okay, if the generic medicines come out to the world, it's going to be much more affordable, much more accessible to it. And I just want to ask you this one question. Will genetic information of a person help in giving that right medicine and also collecting all this information from people, right? Will it make the medicine more affordable? What's your view on it?
Generic medicine is something where even if the person is not rich, but he has got a very good genome from their ancestors, and if he wants to survive, the genetic medicine will work. But there is something called personalized medicine, that is what is very expensive, because it is going to be completely tailored for your tailored for your needs, where you need a lot of support. And if your ancestors have not passed on the right thing, they don't have a survival gene, but been forced to survive, that's how sometimes it pulls, then it is personalized medicine is important, which is quite expensive. Generic medicine, if the person who is very good genetically and need only a few support to make him happen, this generic medicine will work. But to get into this genetic medicine, there is a lot of research that has to be done, because it's not easy to, I know the trauma that you will undergo, and it is necessary because you are going to play with a human life. So all these regulatories has to be taken care appropriately. But there is a scope in optimizing these thing by making sure that there is no repetition, or something which is taking 3 days can be done in a day. You can optimize the necessary protocols to make it happen, but I don't think you should take a shortcut before understanding the complete details, either vaccine or a drug to be released before, because it's very difficult. And the same thing, vaccination or something, if you take, and if your genome is ready to, it's fighting hard for you to survive, it will work. If it is not a fit for survival, it will lose. And you cannot generalize the statement that this is not correct and this is immature, because not all human are robots. Everybody has got a different genome, and no two human has got the same genome. And you have to understand the amount of generic medicine it works. It just can be an help, and you cannot think it, because this is how your genome has been manufactured. This is how it is making you survive. And if there is a flaws from your ancestor, you are going to carry that, and a flawed genome will not survive. So sometimes it has to stop sometimes.
There are a lot of resources which you might have studied, and there are a lot of resources which you could also help people in getting that right insights on. What's the best book or the best resource that you have studied till today? leaving the papers.
I didn't find anything because it's so dynamic, and especially the research papers are very important at every point of the time, and also the review of those research papers, how a critic, a scientist has done on those research. I think only the research papers, which is going to be too dynamic with the different technology that is coming, will help you. I don't think textbooks are something, it's just a training, what I told. The textbooks are going to train you all about, but better and better.
Ma'am, thank you so much for this podcast. I wanted to do a podcast with you by the year end. I think I have done it, but with a lot of hubbub which network created to me. I think probably I'm going to edit it. I'm going to give it to the world. And thank you so much for this amazing podcast, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much. But hope this helps the society. This helps the researcher. This helps the end mind to get themselves into the right research.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am,